Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Simcha gedola, liyot liyot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liyot liyot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liyot liyot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liyot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liyot 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 besimcha. Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Simcha gedola, liyot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liyot liyot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liyot liyot besimcha. Simcha gedola, liyot besimcha. Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Be the reason so Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Good Shabbos. Ein da Laila. Ein da Laila. Ay 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 Shabbos Kodesh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit.
All right. Excellent. And now we move everybody al divrei Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah.
All right. And Hareini Mekabel is up next.
Hareini Mekabel alai mitzvat aseh Shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
How do we do that? With Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe.
Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe Morasha Keilat Yaakov. Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe Morasha Keilat Yaakov.
All right, and that brings us to our Pushka. Time to give tzedakah. Come on, computer.
I put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki for someone else to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
All right, I love it. Yes. Tzedakah has been given. Thank you so much. You're a mensch. All right, fantastic. And now that brings us to the Shema Yisrael. Are you ready? Let's give it to the IDF.
Shema Yisrael.
All right, and that, my friends, brings us to our breakfast. And I've got coffee and I've got yogurt, as is customary. So, Baruch Ato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihiyah b'dvoroi. I do love my Pesach coffee. I love my Pesach coffee.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or two in the evening too. For me, it's the only way.
All right. Fantastic. Here we go. 2 minutes.
In Parashat Metzorah, we have the remedy of sarat, loosely translated as leprosy.
Step up, gather round. I got something to say about this thing called 2 minutes for Torah. It's the only way to learn practical lessons from the book of life. In just 2 minutes, you'll be armed with wisdom, no strife. The videos be high quality, engaging and so fly. You won't even realize the time just flew by. In less than 2 minutes, you'll be elevated to a higher level of knowledge, no longer underrated. 2 minutes for Torah, changing the game. Learning life's lessons, ain't it just insane? In just a blink of an eye, you'll be feeling so wise. 2 minutes for Torah, it's a wild ride.
In Parashat Metzorah, we have the remedy of sarat, loosely translated as leprosy. We have the process of tahara, how a person has to bring a korban and so on, and it comes in process of it has to come to the Kohen as well, the process of the Tum'ah and process of Tahara.
All right, sorry about that. It seems to got stuck. All right, counting Sphira is up
49 days to count the Omer. After it's dark, Mark.
All right, today is day 3 of the Omer.
Do it in shul, shmuel. Just count with me. Look for the stars, Tamar. Just be sure to make the bracha. Erev is the key, Tzvi. Count Sphira with me.
All right, the 3rd day of the Omer. Let us now go to Rabbi Brook, Chazan Brook, who will count for us. Come on. All right. Fantastic. Oh, this is incorrect. Let's take that one off. All right, hold on one second. There we go. It shouldn't show a count over here. And it shouldn't show this over here. Okay. And that takes us to HaYom Yom. All right, for today, hi, it's 18th and tomorrow the 19th of
ותמחול את כל עוונותינו ביום הזה.
Come on.
For 2 millennia, Jewish people have insisted that the world in its current state is not ideal, and there are better times to come. The pain, suffering, and strife that we witness all around us are symptoms of the fact that we are in Golus, a spiritual state of darkness that comes before the sun begins to shine. Now, our people are no strangers to this dark state of Golus. We were in Golus in Egypt and in a host of other countries. But when you look at the time frame, what's the range? How long did each of the previous scenarios of Golus last for? They range between 70 and a couple of 100 years. The current Golus, which commenced at the destruction of the Second Temple, and which according to our traditions is supposed to be the last in the series, this Golus has lasted for almost 2,000 years. Today's HaYom Yom is a Chassidic interpretation of the Ma Nishtana. Ma Nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halaylos. How is this state of spiritual darkness, how is this exile so different than all of the other exiles we have experienced? And like in the case of the Ma Nishtana, the 4 questions, we identify 4 important distinctions between the way previous states of Golus influenced us and the way that the current Golus influences us. On all other nights, that means in every previous Gullus, there was a cleansing process that was part and parcel of the experience. But what's unique about the current Gullus is that that cleansing process will be so thorough that by the time this Gullus is done, our bodies will be completely cleansed to the degree that our souls will be able to shine through in a powerful and beautiful way. That's distinction number one. Distinction number two, what makes this Gullus different than every other Gullus? Following every other Gullus, there was still evil in the world and evil in our hearts. When this Gullus is done, all forms of evil will be eradicated from our midst so that there will be only goodness inside of us. And that's a result of the current Gullus that we are in, that cleansing process to the nth degree. Thirdly, in the previous scenarios of Gullus, there was jealousy of all types and forms. But when Mashiach comes and when we're through with this Gullus, there will be only one type of virtue that we put up on a pedestal. And that virtue will be the great mitzvahs accomplished by righteous people. And that's the type of thing that we will be jealous of, so to speak. And finally, the fourth thing that makes this Gullus unique and different is that in the case of all prior scenarios of Gullus, our collective people experience different levels of pleasure in their service of Hashem. But when we're through with this Gullus, all of Israel will attain the quintessential level of pleasure that comes about when you become one with Hashem.
Perfect. And that takes us to a word from our sponsors. And now, a word from our sponsors. PestProRidol.com.
PestProRidol.com, trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services. Mention this ad and get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidol.com.
Tarzane Group, micro, miniature, and small orchids. Go to tarzanegroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 305-440-0565 and order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at tarzanegroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids, beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign@gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications, logos, wall hangings, Judaica, and you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text. Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're shopping there. There might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
Torah, 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 Torah,
tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe.
All right. We are thankful to our sponsors at patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, or breakfastwithelli.live /new computer, breakfastwithelli.live /new computer. Please, guys, it's really important. It's really important. This is completely out of hand. All right. So please help us out if you wouldn't mind. All right. Thank you so much. We are going to go right to Chumash and Rashi with Rabbi Avtzin to tell us this week's 7th Aliyah. Are y'all ready? Here we go. All right. Fantastic. We are going to go right to Rabbi Zusha Zilberstein. Let me just find it because he just posted it. It just finished downloading. And so I have to find it. Here we go. All right. But that should be easy enough. Here we go.
חוננו עד חוננו כרב ונבוז רבה סובלו נפשנו על הגשננים הבוז לגיונים. Yes, Erev Shabbos, special Shabbos, CHOL HAMOED, PESACH. So let us give some extra tzedakah, more than usually, and we'll keep the tradition of telling a story of a different kind. May I ask you, can you think of keeping Pesach a whole year? Now, I'm not referring to the possibility of eating matzahs a whole year. I'm not sure we would be able to digest all that, and schmaltz, and so on and so forth. But listen to this fascinating little story. As the Russian Jews arrived to Israel, many of them had to go through what's called Birur Yahadus, certifying if they're actually Jewish, because of 70 years of communist regime, Jewish oppression, where people were not able to identify as Jews. A lot of questions have arose. Are their mothers really Jewish? Some of them thought they're Jewish, and it turns out they were not Jewish. Some of them didn't think they were Jewish, and it turns out they were Jewish. So extensive research had to be made on a one-by-one basis. Each case had individually being researched. Rabbis all over the world have established experts in being able to ascertain if some of the people, if they're Jewish. In fact, I had a personal experience. I had a person came to me claiming that a family member is Jewish, and got me some original looking documents from a particular area in the wider USSR, the former Russian Empire. And I sent those documents to an expert, and it didn't even take him 2 seconds, sent me back, that's all by email, telling me that those documents aren't valid. And I asked him, how do you find it out so quickly? He says, very simple. The color of the ink which was used for this quote-unquote falsified document that year did not exist in this area. To that extent, they're experts. But listen to this story. Rabbi Lau, then chief rabbi of Tel Aviv, a person came to ascertain and get a document certifying that he's Jewish. So he brought with him 2 witnesses. One of them was known already to Rabbi Lau that he's Jewish, and he said that he actually remembers 42 years ago he was actually invited to the circumcision, to the Brit Milah of this young man. And I remembered it specifically. Then another witness came forth. He said, I'm not familiar with this young man, but I can share with you a situation that I had for a number of years with his mother. Instead, his mother was an important director in one of the large hospitals in Moscow, gave her certain privileges, wasn't practicing at all Judaism, was not involved at all in anything Jewish. But every year after Purim, she gave me approximately 365 cigarettes, asked me to go sell those cigarettes and find her the most mahudar, the most careful, the most kosher matzahs that you can buy clandestinely in Russia. What are those cigarettes? She was a heavy smoker, about 2 packs a day. But every day, she put away 1 cigarette in a certain box. So throughout the year, she collected 365 cigarettes, specifically so when Pesach comes around, she would be able to have proper matzahs. That's what she remembered from her parents. That's what she remembered from her home, that on Pesach you eat matzahs. Unfortunately, it came with the rest non-kosher. But the matzahs she had to have, and she had to have the best ones. Rabbi Lau heard the story, and he said to himself, in his particular sensitive way of appreciating the beauty of every Jew. And he said, I keep Pesach for 7-8 days. This non-religious, quote-unquote, Jewish woman, far from leading a Jewish lifestyle, she keeps Pesach the entire year. How can I compare myself to her? Her cigarette is much holier than any one of my mitzvahs. That's what Alter Rebbe means by saying we don't conclude the Seder experience, we extend it into the entire year.
Wow. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. We have time for Michael Kiggle this morning.
Does priesthood imply celibacy?
They say priesthood, but I thought Jews don't have priests.
Kohanim, mate. Jewish priests.
Oh, right, Kohanim, like in Leviticus. But I thought that, according to Jewish law, that celibacy is outlawed for both priests and non-priests alike.
And you thought right, blokey. But let's not get stuck on the narrow, strict sense of the word celibacy. Let's look at the inner logic, the inner principle of celibacy, namely the idea of separating oneself from the distractions of love and marriage.
Ah, love and marriage
go together, you know, like horse and carriage.
It's an institute you can't disparage. What does the Torah say?
Well, the book of Leviticus gives us a vital hint in its instructions regarding Yom Kippur.
Oh, the Day of Atonement, holiest day of the year.
The Kohen Gadol,
that would be the high priest, holiest man in the land,
emerges out of the Kodesh Kadoshim,
Holy of Holies, holiest chamber in the holy temple in the holy town of Jerusalem.
At the end of Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol steps out of the Kodesh Kadoshim,
the holiest man on the holiest day,
steps out of the Holy of Holies of the holy temple.
Where does he go?
Well, probably somewhere very holy.
Like the rooftop of the Holy of Holies.
Yeah, or like some transcendent dimension of angelic holy radiance.
That's it, mate. He goes to heaven.
He goes home.
He goes
home?
To his wife.
To the little missus. After spending the whole day in the impeccably sublime presence of the maker of the whole cosmic shebang, the Holy One, blessed be He.
Yeah, isn't that a wee bit downgrading, mate?
Wee bit degrading, if you ask me.
Well, that's the funny thing about the Torah's notion of holiness. You see, Kedusha, holiness, has a function. It's not an end in itself. The function of holiness, of that intense awareness of the divine that the high priest achieves in the Holy of Holies, is to infuse daily life with this divine consciousness, to empower daily existence with an awareness of God.
Power like fuel?
So fuel, nice.
And the missus back home represents like what? Daily mundane existence?
The feminists won't like that one, mate.
I think they'll like it very much, actually, when it's emphasized that according to Judaism, the feminine represents the spiritual work of making this world into God's home.
So, a priest, a Cohen, he's got to be married then?
Celibacy is not even an option. According to biblical law, bachelorhood automatically disqualifies a Cohen from officiating in the holiest service of the year, the Yom Kippur service.
As if being married was somehow part and parcel of the holy service.
Not just part or parcel, but the innermost secret of that service. When the high priest comes home at the end of Yom Kippur and shares his divinely inspired energy with his wife, which she then proceeds to spread into every nook and cranny of the home and of daily life, well, that's the consummation and culmination of that sublime spiritual labor done in the Holy of Holies.
All that pure holy energy in such impure rooms.
All that holy energy hallowing the food in the kitchen, the discussions in the living room, the intimacy in the bedroom, hallowing and rendering the impure pure.
That
might be the most beautiful thing I ever heard.
I better get home to the little lady.
I've got to get me a little lady. The holy of the holy of holies is the home.
All right, and I had a request for this week's Parsha song, so we'll do that as well.
After the two sons of Aaron, Nadav and Avihu died, Hashem spoke to Moshe, telling him to go inside to where the Aron Kodesh was kept. Called the Kodesh Kodashim. Only on Yom Kippur Aaron did go in. Bochai bohem ani Hashem. These are my mitzvot, follow them. Bochai bohem ani Hashem. These are my mitzvot, follow them. Yom Kippur, our holiest day, we ask Hashem to forgive, to grant us a good year for all of us to live. The lives of our avos teach us an example they provide, how to live with the mitzvot as an eternal guide. Bochai bohem ani Hashem. These are my mitzvot, follow them. Bochai bohem ani Hashem. These are my mitzvot, follow them.
Fantastic. We love it. All right, we're still really ahead of schedule, so let's see if we can get something else in here. How about our 2-minute rabbi? Oh, you know what else? We have this. Our Parsha Craft song. Or video. Sorry.
Hi boys and girls, welcome back to the Parsha Studio. Pesach, also called Chag HaAviv, the holiday of the spring, is coming up very soon. We're going to make a beautiful springtime painting to get into that spirit. Here are the supplies that we'll need. A cup of water, several colors of paint, blue, light green, dark green, white, dark purple, and a lighter or brighter shade of purple. Q-tips, a rubber band, 2 paintbrushes, a regular sized one and a thin one, a pencil, a paint palette, and a canvas. Let's begin. On the canvas, draw an outline of 2 lilacs, rather like 2 long stretched out ovals. Draw a stem for each lilac and then draw several leaves around them. To make it more realistic, try to vary the sizes of the leaves, some larger, some smaller. Next, put some blue paint on the palette. Add some white paint to it and mix it until it becomes a very pale shade of blue. Using the larger paintbrush, paint the entire canvas. This will be the background. By the way, in case you are curious about lilacs, they are beautiful purple flowers with a very fragrant smell. So what's the connection between lilacs and Pesach? The lilacs represent springtime, and as it turns out, one of the 4 names of Pesach is Chag HaAviv, the holiday of the spring, because that is the time of year when the Jewish people left Mitzrayim, and according to the Torah, Pesach must be celebrated each year in the spring. Next, mix some light green paint with water on the palette, and use the thin paintbrush to outline and fill in the stems and leaves. What is special about springtime? Imagine you daydream through all the seasons. The summertime spells sun shining over beautiful green grass and trees. As the fall sets in, the trees change colors and the leaves fall to the ground. Winter comes and everything becomes blanketed in a layer of snow. It seems like the world is napping. And then comes spring. The trees start blossoming, flowers begin to bloom, the sun starts to shine again, and the whole world comes alive. We celebrate Pesach in the spring because that is the time of year Hashem took the Yidden out of Mitzrayim. But there's also a lesson for us about springtime that we can apply to learning the Torah. Just like in the spring, the whole world wakes up and everything blooms again. When we learn Torah, it brings life and excitement to the mitzvos we do, making them much more meaningful and alive. Let's paint the lilacs now using a cool technique. Take 5 to 6 Q-tips and tie them together with a rubber band. Dip them into the lighter shade of purple paint and dab them into the space where you drew the outlines of the lilacs. Of course, the reason we do mitzvos is simply because Hashem asked us to, but knowing the reason for a mitzvah can help us to feel more excited about getting to do something so special. Once the lilacs are filled with bright purple dots, take 1 Q-tip, dip it into the darker purple, and dab it onto the left side of each lilac to create the effect of a shadow. Can you think of a mitzvah that you know a reason for? For example, do you know a reason why we eat matzah on Pesach? If you don't know an answer, you can ask someone who you think might know. Next, dip another Q-tip into white paint and dab it on the right side of each lilac to create the effect of a light shining on it. Next time you are outside looking at an object, such as a flower, you may notice that one side looks darker and the other side lighter because of the way the sun is shining on it. Alrighty, next use the thin paintbrush to go back over the leaves with dark green paint to create more depth and shadow. Again, next time you're outdoors, notice the way a real leaf looks. Lastly, use white paint to add highlights. This will make the leaves look a little more realistic. Let it dry and voila, your painting is ready. Make sure to find a good spot to hang it. Wishing you a KOSHER and Freilich and Pesach. See you next week.
All right, we can move on now to Tehillim. All right, we've got a lot going on. I had so many videos here to show you. I'm just sorry that we couldn't get to all of them. We've got a lot going on, so let us now say Tehillim, chapters 23 and chapter 123.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי, לא אחסר, בינוס תשע, ירביצני, על מי מנוחוס ינהלני, נפשי שובב, ינחני ומעגלי צדק, למען שמו, גם כי ילך בגיא צלמובס, לא ירא, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, תשענת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני. כל ימי חיי ושבתי בביס אדוני לאורך ימים.
Shiramalus velachon asosi aseinai ha yeshi bashamoyim hinechiyene yavodim yad adinayim kiyene shivcho yad kvirto kiyene yinu aladinali eloyinu ad shayichaneyinu chaneyinu adoyinoi chaneyinu Sosi aseinai ha yeshi bashamoyim hinechiyene yavodim yad adinayim kiyene shivcho yad kvirto kiyene
Tanya.
All right, let's go for Tanya. Are you ready? Getting the computer ready. It's being sticky, but it'll be okay. All right. Must be very frustrating, huh? I'm so sorry. We'll try it again.
Tanya thoughts for the 18th of Nissan. Fear of Hashem is not fear of the punishment. Then what is it? Since the love of Hashem and the love of other people go together, is there an element of fear in interpersonal relationships that can somehow shed some light on the proper fear of Hashem? The fear of Hashem is like the wow of the Grand Canyon. I feel so small in its presence. So much holiness. I fear losing it, like the fear of losing a friendship. If I take my friend for granted, I can't truly be in a real friendship with them. The fear of Hashem is this premise which motivates service.
Let's talk Tanya for the 18th of Nisan of a leap year. So, let's recap where we are. Today we are going to be finishing chapter 41 of Tanya. And in this chapter we started off talking about Yira, awe and reverence for God, and we ended up talking about Ava, about love for God. And the point of this chapter is to explain why we need both. And if we want to put it in simple words right now, we understand that the first thing that we need is Yira. We need to have this awe and reverence for God, because as we explained previously, that's what creates the space for God. As long as I'm doing something only because I'm excited about it and I love it, it's all about me. So the first thing is we need to create that empty space, so to say, for God. That's where the holiness is. Once we have the Yira, then we need to fill that space also with ourselves. We need to bring ourselves into that space of holiness by bringing our own identity, personality, excitement, passion, love into it. And that's why these two constitute the wings that ultimately take a mitzvah and allow it to soar to the higher worlds. In today's Tanya, with which we conclude the chapter, the Alter Rebbe will tell us one last point about love. And that is, earlier in the chapter, we spoke about how it's natural. Every single Jewish person loves God and wants to connect to God. And therefore, that could be a motivation for doing mitzvahs. However, the Alter Rebbe said, that's not good enough, because ultimately that's still a little too selfish. It's my desire to connect to God. Then the Alter Rebbe said, there's a higher level of a selfless love, which is that I want to connect all the Jewish people and all of creation to God through my learning Torah, doing mitzvahs. However, that the Alter Rebbe said, that's a very high level, which in its truest sense is only achievable and attainable for the holiest people. Now the Alter Rebbe, in today's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe is going to introduce a middle ground, which he says is also possible and completely natural for every Jewish person. And that is, to use an analogy of maybe a parent-child relationship. So you can have a child who loves a parent, and therefore I want to be close to my parent. It's all about me. It's not about my parent at all. Then there's the child who says, it's not about myself at all. I love my parent, but it's a selfless love. All I want is, therefore, that my parents, their every need should be met. It's about them. It's not about me. That's the higher level. What is a middle ground? A middle ground is, I want that my parents' will should be done, but I want that it should be me who does it. I want my parent not only to have nachas, I want them to have nachas from me. So on the one hand, it's selfless because it's something which, you're thinking about the parent. You want your parent to be happy, but you want to be part of that happiness. You want that happiness to come from you. And that's something also which the Alter Rebbe says every single one of us can have in our service of God, in our love for God. I love God, and therefore I want that he should have nachas and that his will should be done. And I want that my mitzvah should be the one to accomplish it. So with this, we've concluded the chapter, and now we understand why we need to have both Ava and Yira. And now the question is, okay, but how do we go about attaining Ava and Yira? And that's going to be the topic of the next approximately 8 chapters of Tanya, telling us how to attain Yiras Hashem, how to attain an awe for God, and how to attain an Avos Hashem, a love for God.
No, it's not impossible.
Takes us to Sefer HaMitzvahs of the Rambam.
Just
This was 31 class number 31 and 32.
My daily
Baruch Hashem, it is day number 31 of our daily study of the Rambam Sefer HaMitzvahs. And in our 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah, we're starting Hilchas Brachas, the laws of blessings. The laws of blessings is 11 chapters, so it takes 4 days to complete. And there's just one biblical commandment. One biblical commandment. We're going to be studying it today and for the next 3 days. Now you're going to ask me a very intelligent question, which is, if it takes 11 chapters in Mishnah Torah to cover this subject, how is it that there's just one biblical commandment for the whole thing? The answer is because all of the blessings, with one exception, but all of the blessings are of rabbinic origin. So all the various different blessings that we make before and after we eat and derive different types of benefit, it's all rabbinic. There's only one blessing that is a biblical obligation, meaning it's one of the 613 commandments. And that is, here we go, we're going to introduce it properly. Positive commandment number 19, Birkas HaMazon, the grace after meals. And that is based on the verse in Parshas Ekev, V'yachalta v'savata uve'irachtas Hashem alikecha. When you will eat and be satiated, you will bless the Lord your God. And that is talking about when one eats a proper meal, as defined halachically, as a meal that is based on the consumption of bread, and also as defined halachically. Bread means from the 5 species of grain: wheat and barley, oats, rye, and spelt, and not a snack that's made from those forms of grain, which is something we make a before blessing, beire minim ezainos on, but rather real bread, where we make the before blessing, hamaitzi lechem min haaretz. And when one consumes such a meal, then afterwards one recites the grace after meals, and that is a biblical commandment. And we're going to be talking about this biblical commandment for a few more days. God willing, we'll see you then.
Today we study positive mitzvah number 19, the mitzvah of Birkat HaMazon. That's our obligation to bless Hashem after we eat a meal during which we ate at least an olive-sized portion of bread. Biblically, this is the only time we have to make a blessing when it comes to food. However, the sages added many more food-related blessings. They ruled that we should make blessings before we eat any type of food, giving us a specific blessing for each category of food. They also ruled we should make after blessings, after eating all types of food, not only bread. One type of after blessing for foods made from the 5 grains, another type of after blessing for all other foods. The sages also ruled that we should make other types of blessings. Blessings upon seeing certain wonders of nature, blessings before performing mitzvahs, and blessings upon seeing certain historic landmarks.
Baruch Hashem, it's day number 32 of our daily study of the Rambam Sefer HaMitzvahs. And as mentioned yesterday, we are going to be studying the same biblical commandment every day for a few days, because in the 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah, we're in Hilchas Brachas, the laws of blessings, which is 11 chapters. And there's only one biblical commandment in all of that. And that is, well, let's say it properly here, positive commandment number 19, Birkas HaMazon, the grace after meals, which we spoke about yesterday. Now, we're going to go a little bit more into depth, not about the mitzvah itself, but something related to it. And it's based on one of the 3 chapters that we're studying in the Mishnah Torah today, which today we're on chapters 4, 5, and 6 of the laws of blessings. So I want to share with you something from chapter 6, specifically from chapter 6, Halacha Aleph, the first paragraph, the first halacha from chapter 6. The Rambam says, Kol ha'echel hapas shmavochen olav hametzi. Anyone who eats bread that you make a before blessing of hametzi lechem min haaretz on it, tzorech netilas yadayim tchila. You have to wash your hands first. This is the mitzvah of netilas yadayim. We're going to say, hold on a second. Netilas yadayim, that's also a mitzvah. How come we've been saying only one mitzvah, only grace after meals? What about netilas yadayim? Isn't that also a mitzvah? All right, great question. Netilas yadayim is a rabbinic mitzvah. So it's not one of the 613 biblical commandments. It's a rabbinic mitzvah. And that's why we make a blessing when we wash the hands. If it's a rabbinic mitzvah, we make a blessing on it. But it's not one of the 613. Now, listen to what the Rambam says. Va'afopi shehi pas chulin. Even though the bread is chulin. Chulin means not sacred, not holy. What's the Rambam referring to here? We're not used to this whole concept of holy, not holy. Get ready when we get into the entire book of Torah, when we talk about ritual purity and impurity, because that's very foreign to our lives, unfortunately. We don't have the ashes of the red heifer today, so we can't remove the impurity imparted by a corpse. So most of those laws are foreign to us, which is why it's very good that we learn it in the Rambam to familiarize ourselves. But at any rate, this idea of pas chulin, what it's talking about is, as opposed to when the kohanim eat a meal where the food is taken from truma. Truma is a portion of the crop. We're going to learn all about this. Truma is a portion of the crop that is taken and consecrated and can only be consumed by a kohen. So the kohen has to consume that in a state of purity, and he has to wash his hands. There's an enactment that the kohen has to wash his hands. Now, interestingly, the enactment that the rabbis made, that the kohanim should wash their hands before they have a meal because they might consume truma in their meal, was applied not just to kohanim, but to all of us. I'm going to read to you right now from the Shulchan Aruch Harav, often referred to as the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, from Orach Chaim Kuf Nun Ches, that's chapter 158, which is Dine Netilas Yadayim L'Suda, the laws of washing your hands for a meal. The Alter Rebbe says, Kol ha'echel pas shemavochem olav hametzi tzarich litul yadav tchila, very similar to what we just read from the Rambam. Anyone who eats bread that you make hametzi on as a before blessing, you have to wash your hands first. And I'll skip ahead in that paragraph, but he also says, V'tiknu, and they, meaning the rabbis, established this, af b'achilas chulin, even when you eat non-sacred food. Shiargilu litel yideim b'chol achila. They made this so that the kohanim should be accustomed to washing their hands before they eat, v'lo yishkechu litel truma, and then not forget to do it when they are eating truma. In other words, the only time they really need to wash their hands is before they eat truma. We just made them wash their hands before any meal as a safeguard. Now listen to this. They didn't want to distinguish, meaning the rabbis who made this enactment, between Kohanim and the rest of the Jewish people who don't eat truma. Only Kohanim eat truma. So interestingly, the enactment of washing the hands before the meal was made so that the Kohanim shouldn't forget to wash their hands when they eat truma, and then it was applied to all the Jewish people, not just to the Kohanim. Now, you're going to say like this, but even today the kohanim don't eat truma because they cannot achieve the level of purity required in order to consume such foods. So listen to what the Alter Rebbe says. V'gam achshav, and even now, she'ein ha-kohanim eichem truma mipnei ha-tuma. Kohanim don't eat truma because of the impure state that they can't remove because we don't have the ashes of the red heifer. Loi batla takana zu. This rabbinical enactment has not been negated. Why? Kedei shiur ragilim b'nei Yisrael shi'abana beis hamikdash b'mhedav yamenu la'achol b'tahara, so that the Jewish people are used to this when the Beis Hamikdash, which will be speedily rebuilt, is standing again, and then the Kohanim are going to be able to eat truma. So isn't that an inspiring thought, that Netilas Yadayim, that we wash our hands before a meal, is related to our expectation that very soon the temple is going to be rebuilt, and we're going to have all the laws, all the 613 commandments that we're learning in Rambam are going to be practiced again And we need to be ready. That inspires me. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow, God willing.
Today we continue discussing details of positive mitzvah number 19, the mitzvah of Birkat Hamazon, making the blessing after eating a meal of bread. The Rambam tells us that Birkat Hamazon, the way we know it today, has 4 blessings. The text of the first blessing, known as Birkat Hazan, which thanks God for his sustenance and providing for the entire world, was written by Moshe Rabbeinu himself. The text of the second blessing, which thanks God for the mitzvahs of circumcision, Brit Milah, and for Eretz Yisrael, as well as for the Torah, was written up by Moshe Rabbeinu's student, Yehoshua. The text of the third blessing, which is a prayer for the restoration of David HaMelech's kingship, was written by David and his son Shlomo. It is also a prayer for Mashiach to come. And the text of the fourth blessing, which thanks God for his goodness every single day, as well as for certain other requests we ask of Hashem, was written by the sages in the times of the Mishnah.
And that takes us to matters of Mashiach.
והוא גואלנו, והוא גואלנו, והוא גואלנו, משיח צדקנו, הרבי מלובביץ' מלך המשיח, הרבי מלובביץ'.
All right, why has the land perished and laid waste like a wilderness? Because they have forsaken my Torah. The destruction of the first temple and the subsequent exile was only because of a lack of Torah study. Hashem would have overlooked even cardinal sins as long as they didn't forsake their study of Torah. This is what we learn in the Talmud. It's not enough to let faith guide our actions. It must change the way we think. Through Torah study, we internalize our faith by knowing who we are, our mission in life, and the impact that we have. This strengthens our conviction so that negativity becomes unthinkable. Our commitment to learning Torah and to spreading the knowledge not only strengthens our internal faith, but ultimately that is what will bring Mashiach. Now, the first level of revealing our faith is changing our worldview. It's one thing to believe that Hashem guides our lives, but we might still fear the world, viewing it as a force at times from stopping us to do what is right. This view is a form of idol worship. That's right. Believing that there are other forces that rival God's will and dominion, and believing that we must be wary of them. This was the case in the time of the first temple. The Jews at that time kept the Torah, yet they worshipped idols. Can you believe that? Chassidus tells us that Hashem's providence extends to every detail of creation. So by studying these teachings, we strengthen our faith and free ourselves of our fear of the world, and thereby we smash the idols. Here's a report from Shmuel Tzvi, who is living in Eretz Yisrael as we speak. Maybe if I hit it harder, it'll come up, right? Computer. Here we go.
Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Hope all is well. We are currently in the holy holiday of Pesach, or Passover in English. Now is a very optimistic time, optimal time, opportune time for the coming of Mashiach. We don't know when he will come, but we hope for his coming at every moment, and we know that he could come at any moment, and there's no limit to how soon he can come. With one extra, we can be zoiche, we can be meritorious, we can be fortunate to experience the redemption. There's serious situations going on in the Holy Land on multiple fronts, wars on multiple fronts, and there's also a war going on in our hearts, a war of good versus evil. And every extra good deed we do, my dear friends, can be enough to bring the redemption. Make sure you take your health, just like a person works on their physical health. Even more importantly, we must work on our spiritual health and carrying out God's command.
Good afternoon, Ruben. What's going on here? What do we have going here?
Preparing everything for Sunday. Here we have
There's a bar mitzvah boy who's going to do a nice assembling of packages for single mothers for Passover. So what do we have? Everything is kosher for Passover, even the macaroons and the sugar and all the potato starch. And we have the charosa drive crates. Nice. And this is for Sunday, right?
Yes, Sunday afternoon. We're going to be in Manhattan.
All right, I'll be a few kitchen and hotel. 879 879 hot meals every single day. All right. Oh, man, I got a lot of work to do here already. All right. In Rockland County, it's Tomchei Shabbos. Come on, computer. Stay with me just a few more minutes. Come on. All right, in Rockland County, it's Tomchei Shabbos. In Lakewood, it's tomchei.org. In Teaneck, it's Tomchei Shabbos of Bergen County. All right. Achiezer is there to help you out with everything else that you could possibly need. And Just One Shabbos is there to help our misguided youth to get back to keeping the beauty of Shabbat. Come on, computer. We're trying. We're trying our bestest. Donor, donor, donor. We need a donor. A big donor to get this new computer. All right. If you are, God forbid, the victim of it, you see a hate crime in progress, especially in today's day where things are rampant and crazy, and I don't know what's going on with the world today. Stay away from the protests, please. Okay? Let professionals handle this. This is not something that you and I can take on. We are not versed in all of the ridiculousness, answering all the stupid questions, and refuting all the misinformation that's out there. Not our job, okay? Not our job. If you're a trained professional and you have the facts in hand, that's fine. Otherwise, you sound like a ranting meshugana. You really do. And you're wasting your breath because they're not listening to you. They're looking for a fight. And if they're looking for a fight, they're going to get one from you. And that's not what it's all about. We are a peaceful people. We are responding to a situation which we did not start, which we do not control. We could turn the other cheek, as they say, lahavdil. We could do that. But, you know, it's just going to happen again and again and again and again. So please leave the fighting to other people. Do not get involved. Be safe. Be smart. Be careful. All right? All right. But if there is a problem, you will call 911 on Shabbos and on Yom Tov that's coming up. All right? And if you have an emergency situation, use Hatzalah. Hatzalah's Global Assist app, available on the iOS and Android stores. No matter where you are in the world, there is Hatzalah nearby. And if there isn't, let's get one there, all right? Miss Oskim in times of bereavement is there to help you out, missoskim.org. And when you're out and about, which we weren't this Pesach, but if you're out and about, please wear a mask. It's really, really important. Get your vaccinations.
Wear a
It's true.
mask. Wear a mask.
All right? All right, let's bring some heaven down to earth. That's what we need to do. Just waiting on this machine I call a computer. And I say that because it's not computing very well. While we are waiting for this machine to do whatever it is that it's gone and done, and wherever it is going away, as I drop things all over the floor. Yeah. All right. If anybody would like, I have some beautiful little cards, pocket size, wallet size, credit card size cards with the Rebbe and the Rebbetzins chapter of Tehillim on them. I'm very happy to mail that out to you if you so desire. All right. Bringing heaven down to earth, Hashem wanted a being, a somebody. He doesn't want puppets. A creature that would decide, this is how it should be done using such and in such a way with such and such a feeling. This is what the Eibishter, my creator, wants from me. He gave us instructions, but instructions that demand a thinking human being. The score is handed to us, but we play it from our own souls. Each one of us a musician. Come to me on social media, any of the Actors Rabbis groups, at Facebook, Clubhouse, Instagram, LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitter, WhatsApp, or YouTube. All right? And go to the Actors Rabbis. Not quite yet. Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam boirei nefashos rabois v'chesronan al kol ma sheborasa lachayos bohem nefesh kol chai baruch chai haolamim. We got there. We got through it all. I don't know how we did it, but here we are. All right, it is Erev Shabbos. Candlelighting is at 7:20. Sorry. Candlelighting is at 7:28. Shabbos ends at 8:33. 7:29. Sorry, 7:29. And 8:33. Okay, please remember that. We are getting prepared for the last 2 days of Yom Tov, which will be Sunday night, Monday, and Tuesday. We will have Mashiach Suda. We are going to talk all about Mashiach Suda on Sunday. So please, Sunday is a huge day for you to be with us on Breakfast with Elli. All right, I can't tell you how important that is. So let's do that, okay? Please get there. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Oh no, that's right. That's right. I got it. That can stay there. All right. So it is the 18th. The 18th day of Nissan. Thank you to my Patreon sponsors: Pest Pro Riddle, Tarzan Orchid, Stephen T. Design, Bracha Biederman, Avi G. Reza Musavi, who was with us just a moment ago. We lost him. I guess he had to go to work. Or maybe it was Yontif where he is. He is in Sweden, right? Alexa, what time is Shabbos in Sweden? Does she know?
There aren't any Shabbat holidays in Sweden.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Alexa, what time is sunset in Sweden?
Sunset in Stockholm will be at 8:30 p.m. today.
8:30. All right. So,
location. Please give me a specific city.
all right, Alexa, what time is it in Stockholm right now? Alexa, what time is it in Stockholm?
In Stockholm, it's 5:29 p.m.
All right, so he's getting ready for Shabbos. There you have it. Problem solved. All right, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to my Patreon sponsors. Become a sponsor by going to patreon.com/theactorsrabbi or breakfastwithelli.live/newcomputer to help us get through this period. Chasal Siddur Pesach. We say goodbye to the Pesach Seder, not a saying that we find in a Chabad Haggadah, because the Alter Rebbe said Pesach never ends. The time of our liberation is always imminent. So I have this beautiful, beautiful thing for Mati Steinmetz. Mati Steinmetz is this incredible, incredible singer from Israel. He's a Chassidish Yid. He has a beautiful, beautiful voice. He's married with children. He looks like he's 12. I know. It's frustrating. All right. Have a great and glorious Shabbos, CHOL, HAMOED, PESACH. Lots to do. We count. Today was 3 days of the Omer, so we count the next one tonight. I don't want to say it out loud, but that's how we do it. Don't forget to count, and don't forget to count the next one on Saturday night, because I won't be here with you. All right? All right. Have a great and glorious Shabbos. Be the reason someone smiles. In the words of Rebbe Isaac Hamler, have affection for a fellow, and Hashem will have affection for you. Do a kindness for a fellow. Hashem will do a kindness for you. Draw a fellow close, and Hashem will draw you close. Bye. See you Sunday.
Chasal Siddur Pesach Ki Yilchu Soi Kechol Mishputoi Yechiku Soi Kasher Zuchitni L'sadai Lo Yisoi Kain Nizgela Soi Soi Chasal Pesach ki ychusoi kechol mishputoi v'chikusoi kasher zuchitni v'sadai lo yisoi kain nizgala soi soi zoch shochayin Bedim letziyoy berinu Chasal Siddur Pesach K'yilchu Soi K'chol Mishputoi V'chiku Soi Kasher Zuchitni L'sadai Lo Yisoi Kain Nizgeh
right. See you Sunday, everybody.